He cornered me by the basketball court, the scent of sweat and determination clinging to him like a second skin. "Did you tell my mom you made me gay?" The words tumbled out of my mouth, sharp and accusing, cutting through the rhythmic thud of the bouncing ball nearby. His eyes, usually full of a cocky, infuriating light, widened in genuine shock. He froze, a statue carved from muscle and confusion. That single, insane question was the climax of a story that had spiraled out of my control, a story that began with a single, catastrophically loud notification. To understand how we ended up here, in this heart-pounding standoff under the unforgiving stadium lights, you have to rewind. You have to go back to the day my carefully constructed closet, a fortress Eurostrade spent 3 years building, was demolished by a single, careless swipe of my thumb at a family barbecue. For 3 long years, I had perfected the art of evasion. I was a master of vague answers about non-existent girlfriends, a connoisseur of feigned crushes on girls I barely knew, and an expert in the stolen, fleeting glances at guys who would never know I existed. I had built a life on a foundation of quiet secrecy. Then, in one moment of profound stupidity, I lit the match that burned it all to the ground. It happened at my Aunt Linda Eurostrade's house, amidst the haze of grill smoke and the drone of familial chatter. I was reclined on a lumpy floral couch, lost in the digital world of a dating app, my phone Eurostrade's volume turned up to a level that can only be described as moronic. A message alert, a flirty, distinctive chime, sliced through the air with the precision of a surgeon Eurostrade's scalpel. Every conversation in the backyard screeched to a halt. Heads swiveled in my direction. My mother, Clara, who was mid-anecdote, paused with her wine glass suspended in midair. Aunt Linda Eurostrade's eyebrows launched themselves toward her hairline as if fleeing a disaster scene. "Finn, honey," Clara Eurostrade's voice was a slow drip of honeyed curiosity, masking a shark-like intensity. What was that delightful little sound? Panic seized me. My hands fumbled, and the phone nearly took a nosedive into a nearby bowl of potato salad. Nothing. Eater Eurostrade's Juster Euros a game notification. A lie so weak it was practically transparent. Aunt Linda leaned in, her eyes narrowing into suspicious slits. That sounded an awful lot like Grinder. My stomach plummeted into the abyss. How in the world did my 60-year-old aunt, whose technical expertise usually topped out at accidentally FaceTiming her own ear, recognize the signature sound of a gay dating app? Before I could concoct a more plausible fabrication, Clara was already in motion. She snatched the phone from my grasp with the speed of a striking cobra. Her thumb flew across the screen, unlocking a world I had so desperately tried to keep hidden. Her face, which had been a mask of mild curiosity, suddenly illuminated as if she Eurostrade just discovered the winning lottery numbers were tattooed on my forehead. "Finn Michael Carter," she announced to the assembled crowd of relatives, her voice booming with theatrical flair. "You're Eurostrade re-gay." My first instinct was to seek refuge under the coffee table, to live out the rest of my days among dust bunnies and forgotten coasters. "Mom," I hissed, my voice barely a whisper, "can we please not have this conversation in front of everyone?" "Have what conversation?" "A celebration." She was grinning now, a wide, triumphant smile as she scrolled through my dating profile with the voracious interest of a literary critic discovering a lost manuscript. "Oh, this is wonderful. Why didn't Eurostrade you ever tell me?" "Because of this." I gestured wildly at her, at the sheer, unadulterated spectacle she was creating. She was practically vibrating with a manic, matchmaking energy. Aunt Linder, never one to miss a beat, chimed in. Oh, my Kevin came out last year. He used the same app. You young people are all so wonderfully predictable. I groaned, letting my body sink deeper into the couch cushions, hoping they might swallow me whole. Can we just rewind the last 5 minutes and pretend this never happened? Clara finally returned my phone, but the Cheshire Cat grin remained plastered on her face. Not a chance. This is happening, and our first order of business is finding you a proper boyfriend. Mom, Euros trade M19. I think I can handle my own love life. Euros trade not desperate. She waved a dismissive hand, already furiously typing on her own phone. Nonsense. All the articles say the dating pool is a shark tank these days. We need to secure a quality partner for you before all the good ones are snapped up. Snapped up by whom? I snapped back, grabbing a potato chip from a bowl with more force than necessary. By men who earn Euros trade tea, my son, apparently, she retorted without missing a beat. You are Euros trade adorable, Finn, truly. But those slender arms of yours earn Euros trade tea. Going to win any arm wrestling contests for a Marna Euros trade S heart. I nearly choked on my chip. Thought Euros trade S rude. I could wrestle if the situation called for it. Clara snorted with laughter. Of course, you could. You are Euros trade read a regular Adonis. Now, let Euros trade S get down to business. I have the perfect candidate. My eyes narrowed into slits of deep suspicion. What candidate? Hugh Larson. The soda I had just sipped threatened to erupt from my nose. Hugh Larson. The name itself tasted like ash in my mouth. My childhood best friend who had inexplicably morphed into my arch-nemesis. The boy who had made it his personal mission to be a constant, irritating presence in my life since we were 10 years old. The same Hugh who consistently outshone me in every athletic endeavor, who mocked my passion for literature, and who, during a particularly heated argument just last year, had branded me a nerdy bookworm as if it were the most damning insult in the human language. Absolutely not. No way. He despises me. Clara tilted her head, her expression one of utter bewilderment. Despises you? Finn, you two were practically joined at the hip until high school. What on earth happened? He told me I was a nerd who would rather read about life than actually live it, I muttered, folding my arms across my chest in a defensive posture. He Euros trade as a complete jerk. She rolled her eyes with practiced ease. That sounds like a classic case of teenage miscommunication. Besides, he Euros trade S 6'1". He Euros trade S the star of the soccer team, and his mother confirmed he Euros trade S single. He Euros trade S the total package isna Euros trade T he Euros trade S the perfect package for someone else. I shot back. I would rather date a scarrow cactus. Clara Euros trade S smirk was unwavering. A cactus dos na Euros trade T have a six-pack, darling. Hugh does. Euros trade M arranging a meeting. I stared at her, aghast. You canna Euros trade T be serious. Oh, Euros trade M deadly serious, she said, her thumbs moving at a blistering pace across her phone screen. I have been a devoted supporter of adorable male couples since long before it was trendy. I am an expert in this field. Mom, you are not a professional matchmaker. She gave me a conspiratorial wink. Just watch me. I slumped back against the couch, utterly defeated. My dad, Tom, ever the picture of oblivious calm, wandered over. Water Euros trade S all the commotion. Your son has come out of the closet, and Euros trade M securing him a handsome, athletic boyfriend. Clara announced with the same casual tone one might use to order a pizza. Tom blinked slowly, the information processing at a glacial pace. Oh, well, fatter euros trade sar euros cool. He looked at me, a flicker of concern in his eyes. Are you good with all this, son? No, I exclaimed. She euros trade s trying to set me up with Hugh Larson. Tomer euros trade s brow furrowed in thought. Hugh euros isna euros trade t that the kid who shattered our living room window with a soccer ball. The very same one. I pointed at him, grateful for the unexpected reinforcement. He euros trade s the absolute worst. Clara waved both of us off as if shooing away bothersome flies. You are euros trade re both being overly dramatic. Ire euros trade am going to have a chat with his mother. This is happening. I scrambled for my jacket, a desperate need for escape consuming me. Ire euros trade am going out for a walk. You carner euros trade t run from true love, Finn. Clara called after me, her laughter echoing in the hallway. I offered a rude gesture over my shoulder as I stormed out the door, my face burning with a mixture of anger and humiliation. Hugh Larson? Not in a million years. I would rather embrace a life of solitary monkhood. But as I walked down the quiet, tree-lined street, my phone vibrated in my pocket. A text from Clara. Hugh euros trade s available tomorrow afternoon. Look presentable. I stared at the screen, caught in a vortex of emotions, wanting to scream and simultaneously hurl my phone into the nearest sewer drain. An image of Hugh euros trade s smug, handsome face materialized in my minder euros his infuriatingly perfect jawline. That arrogant, self-assured grin. I hated, absolutely hated, the way my heart performed a stupid little leap at the mere thought of him. It wasn't because I liked him. Of course not. That was an insane, preposterous notion, right? But my mother euros trade s determination was a force of nature. By the time I returned home, she had already orchestrated what she called a casual, spontaneous get-together at our house. I tried to protest, to reason with her, but she was in full-blown mission mode, humming a cheerful tune as she fluffed pillows and rearranged furniture, transforming our living room into the set of a low-budget romantic comedy. War euros trade ll thank me for this one day, she said, tossing a decorative cushion at my head. Ire euros trade ll write you out of my will first, I muttered, catching it. She just laughed, completely undeterred. Finn, you have to trust me. I have a sixth sense for these things. You and Hugh euros there are going to be sparks. Sparks of pure, unadulterated animosity, I corrected, collapsing onto the couch. We euros trade LLC about that, she said, her voice dripping with smug satisfaction. We euros trade LL just see. I buried my face in the cushion, a profound sense of dread washing over me. Hugh Larson, in my house, all because of my meddling, romance-obsessed mother. This wasn't just a bad dream, it was a full-blown nightmare. Yet, somewhere in the deepest, most hidden corner of my mind, a tiny, treacherous part of me couldn't help but wonder if, just maybe, Clara was onto something. I violently shoved the thought away. He was my enemy. He had always been my enemy. There was absolutely no way this could end well. Clara had officially gone off the deep end. I was pacing a trench into the living room carpet, still seething from her ambush matchmaking scheme. When the doorbell chimed, my stomach performed a series of nervous gymnastics. Surely she hadn't actually gone through with it. I crept to the window and peeked through the blinds. And there he was. Hugh Larson, standing on my front porch, looking like he Euros trade D just been roused from a deep slumber. He was wearing a pair of gray sweatpants and a faded band t-shirt, his dark hair a chaotic mess. Had she physically dragged him out of his bed, I was going to commit matricide. Finn, could you get the door, please? Clara Eurostrade's voice sailed from the kitchen, sickeningly cheerful. I let out a long-suffering groan and stomped to the door, yanking it open with unnecessary force. Hugh was leaning against the doorframe, one eyebrow arched in amusement, his expression a mixture of skepticism and curiosity. Your mom sent a barrage of texts. Said it was an emergency, he said, his voice a low, gravelly rumble. What are Eurostrade's her deal? She Eurostrade's certifiably insane, I snapped, stepping back to let him in. You really didn't Eurostrade have to come. He shrugged, his arm brushing against mine as he walked past. I hated the jolt of electricity that shot through me at the contact. Didn't Eurostrade feel like I had a choice? She messaged me 10 times. Said you urgently needed to talk to me. I shot a venomous glare in the direction of the kitchen, where Clara was now humming a show tune. Mom, why is Hugh Larson in our living room? I yelled. She poked her head around the corner, a smudge of flour on her cheek from whatever culinary project she was undertaking. Don't Eurostrade be so inhospitable, Finn. Hugh is our guest. Why don't Eurostrade you offer him something to drink? I Eurostrade am not his personal servant, I muttered under my breath, crossing my arms defensively. Hugh smirked, dropping onto our couch as if he owned the place. Water would be great, Bookworm. Do not call me that, I hissed, but I found myself marching to the kitchen cabinet and grabbing a glass anyway. Why was I complying? I shoved the glass into his hand, water sloshing over the sides. Here, now maybe you can explain why you are Eurostrade invading my home dressed like you just crawled out of a dumpster. He took a long sip, completely unfazed. Your mom mentioned something about a misunderstanding between us. Thought you might want to enlighten me. I froze mid-glare. Clara had told him about our feud, about the Acircumflex Euros nerdy bookwormer Eurostrade incident. A hot flush of embarrassment crept up my neck. There is no misunderstanding. You called me a pathetic loser last year. You said I was boring. Hugh Eurostrade's brow furrowed. When did I ever say that? Junior year, right by the lockers. You were with your soccer meathead friends, and you were all laughing about how Eurostrade rather read a book than Acircumflex Euros live a little Acircumflex Eurostrade. I mimicked his deep voice, my own laced with mockery. Does that ring any bells? He set the glass down on the coffee table, his expression serious as he leaned forward. Were Eurostrade still upset about that? Finn, it was a joke. You used to think my stupid jokes were funny. Well, that one wasn't Eurostrade funny, I retorted, turning away from him. A familiar tightness constricted my chest. I couldn't admit to him how much his words had actually hurt, how I had spent countless nights replaying that moment, trying to pinpoint when my best friend had transformed into a complete and utter jerk. Just a Euros go home. He stood up, closing the distance between us. He was too close. Hang on. You genuinely believe that I hate you? Is that what all of this is about? I scoffed, refusing to meet his gaze. You made your feelings pretty clear. Doma Eurostrade try to play the innocent victim now. He stopped, running a frustrated hand through his already messy hair. Look, I was a complete idiot back then. I didn't Eurostrade mean it the way it sounded. I was just messing with you. Messing with me. I whirled around to face him. You humiliated me in front of your entire fan club, and now you show up here. What? Pretending you actually care because my mother guilt-tripped you into it. His jaw tightened, and for a fleeting moment, I thought I had finally made him angry. But then his eyes softened, and the shift was so unexpected it threw me completely off balance. I'm here because I wanted to be here. I don't hate you, Finn. I never have. I just blinked, my mind struggling to process his words. My mouth opened, but no sound came out. Was he being serious? Before I could formulate a response, Clara swept into the room like a whirlwind, bearing a tray laden with freshly baked cookies. Boys, play nicely. Hugh, why don't you tell Finn how you are re-single and ready to mingle? Mom, I yelped, my entire body rigid with mortification. Stop it right now. Hugh actually chuckled, reaching for a cookie. She's not entirely wrong, but I'm not here to date your son, Clara. I'm just trying to clear the air. What a pity, she said, sending a mischievous wink in my direction. You two would make such an adorable couple. I grabbed her arm, practically dragging her back toward the kitchen. We need to have a serious conversation. Now, once we were safely out of earshot, I let out a furious hiss. What is wrong with you? Why are you doing this? I told you I can't stand him. Clara patted my cheek as if I were a petulant 5-year-old. Sweetheart, you are the king of drama. I saw the way you looked at him just now. There is something there. Trust your mother intuition. You are delusional, I said, but my voice wavered, betraying my uncertainty. Had I looked at him in a specific way? No, that was impossible. I despised him. I despised his stupid, easy confidence and his stupid, perfect smile. Didn't She just smirked. Go back in there and talk to him, or I swear I will invite him to stay for dinner tomorrow night as well. With a groan of utter defeat, I stomped back into the living room. Hugh was still there, sprawled on the couch, scrolling through his phone. He glanced up as I entered, and I could have sworn there was something in his eyes, something unreadable that made my stomach do a nervous flip. So, he said, his voice casual, are we going to talk, or what? There is nothing to talk about, I muttered, collapsing into an armchair directly across from him. You can go now. He leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. Are you sure about that? Because am not the one been actively avoiding me for the past year. I haven't been avoiding you, I lied, picking at a loose thread on my jeans. I just don't like you. He let out a short, sharp laugh. Liar, we used to be best friends, Finn. What changed? You changed, I shot back. You got popular and decided I was too lame to be seen with. His smile vanished. Is that really what you think? Damn, Finn. You are got it all wrong. Then enlighten me, I challenged, crossing my arms over my chest. He opened his mouth, then closed it, as if carefully selecting his words. I didn't ditch you. I thought you were the one pulling away. You stopped answering my texts. You stopped coming to my games. I just assumed you were done with me. I stared at him, my brain scrambling to make sense of his claim. Was it possible that I was the one who had initiated the distance? No, that was ridiculous. He was twisting the story, manipulating the facts. War euros trade re so full of it, I said, standing up abruptly. Finn, wait. He reached out and grabbed my wrist. His hand was warm and firm around my skin. I instinctively yanked my arm away, my heart hammering against my ribs. Dona euros trade tea, I snapped and stormed up the stairs. I slammed my bedroom door shut and leaned against it, trying to catch my breath. His words echoed in my mind, a relentless loop of confusion. I thought you were done with me. What the hell was that supposed to mean? A soft knock on the door jolted me. Finn, open up, Clara Eurostrade's voice called. I brought you a peace offering. I cracked the door open, glaring at her. War Eurostrade re the worst mother in the history of mothers. She handed me a plate of cookies, completely unfazed by my outburst. War Eurostrade re welcome. Now, what is the real story with you and Hugh? That boy looked like he was about to say something important. There is no story, I muttered, stuffing a cookie into my mouth. He Eurostrade's a jerk. End of story. She raised a skeptical eyebrow. Sure, honey. You keep telling yourself that. But I Eurostrade am not giving up on this. You two need to sort out your issues. I flopped onto my bed, staring blankly at the ceiling. Hugh Eurostrade's face kept materializing in my thoughts. His stupidly earnest eyes, his stupidly warm hand on my wrist. I didn't Eurostrade tea like him. I couldn't Eurostrade tea possibly like him. But as I lay there, a tiny, annoying voice in the back of my mind wondered if I had been completely wrong about him all along. The morning light had barely begun to seep through my blinds when my phone started buzzing with the intensity of an angry hornet Eurostrade's nest. I squinted at the screen, my eyes struggling to focus. 15 new messages from Clara. Each one contained a profile of a different guy. 6 a circumflex Eurostrade 2 lacrosse player, fantastic smile. 6 a circumflex Eurostrade 0 swimmer, loves golden retrievers. She had completely lost her mind. I tossed the phone onto my bedside table, determined to ignore her, but my efforts were futile. She burst into my room moments later, brandishing her tablet like a weapon of war. Rise and shine, Finn. We have a busy day ahead of us, Clara declared, yanking the blanket off my bed. Our Eurostrade V curated a selection of prime candidates for your consideration. I shot upright, my heart pounding with horror. War Eurostrade re not serious. I told you to drop it. Drop it, my dear boy. Our Eurostrade am just getting warmed up, she said, scrolling through a gallery of photos featuring chiseled men in various states of athletic exertion. Look at this one. Evan, captain of the rugby team. You could grate cheese on those abs. I snatched the tablet from her, glaring at the screen. Mom, our Eurostrade am not shopping for a boyfriend like he Eurostrade's a piece of furniture. She grinned, completely undeterred. Think of it as window shopping. Now get dressed. We Eurostrade re-meeting them at the coffee shop in an hour. Them, I choked on the word. Plural, 5 guys, 1 afternoon. Eater Eurostrade's all about efficiency, Finn. She winked, then sauntered out of my room. I dragged myself into the bathroom, silently cursing her relentless enthusiasm. By noon, I found myself slumped in a booth at the Daily Grind, while Clara played the role of effervescent host to a parade of jocks who looked like they had just stepped out of a cologne advertisement. First up was Evan, all broad shoulders and blindingly white teeth. He shook my hand, his grip firm. Heard you are Eurostrade re a big reader. Farter Eurostrade's cool. I nodded awkwardly. Yeah. Thanks, Clara nudged me sharply in the ribs. Finn, feel his bicep. Go on. Eater Euros trade S like a rock. Mom, I hissed, my face erupting in flames. Evan just laughed, flexing obligingly, but I was far too mortified to even consider touching him. Next came Tyler, then Max, each one a carbon copy of the last. Tall, muscular, and painfully polite. Clara was in her element, interrogating them about their protein intake and workout regimens as if she were a scout for the NFL. I sipped my rapidly cooling coffee, desperately searching for a plausible escape route. By the time the fourth candidate arrived, I had completely zoned out, nodding mechanically as Clara gushed about his impressive core strength. Then, the bell above the door jingled, and my heart came to a screeching halt. Hugh walked in. He was wearing a fitted black tank top that did little to hide the defined muscles of his arms. He scanned the room, and when his eyes landed on our table, his easy stride faltered. His gaze narrowed, zeroing in on the guy sitting next to me. Euros Jake, a basketball player with a shy, boyish smile. Well, Hugh said, sliding into the booth across from us without an invitation. What have we here, Finn? A speed dating event. I bristled, my grip tightening around my coffee mug. Eater Euros trade S none of your business, Larson. Clara clapped her hands together, looking absolutely delighted by this new development. Hugh, perfect timing. Come join us. Hard pass, he said, but he made no move to leave, his eyes flicking back and forth between me and Jake. Didn't a Euros trade T realize you were into guys who look like they bench press small cars for fun, Finn? Jake shifted uncomfortably in his seat, and I snapped. What are Euros trade S it to you? Are you jealous? Hugh Euros trade S smirk tightened at the edges of him. Nar, I just didn't Euros trade T peg you as the muscle head type. Funny, I didn't Euros trade T peg you for the type to crash my social outings, I retorted, leaning back against the vinyl seat. Go kick a soccer ball into a window or something. Clara, completely oblivious to the palpable tension, interjected. Jake, tell Finn about your summer training camp. Finn, you should feel his abs. Fair Euros trade absolutely unreal. I am not feeling any honor Euros trade S abs. I snapped, my voice rising to a volume that caused several heads to turn in our direction. Jake blushed a deep shade of crimson, mumbled something about having to get to practice, and bolted from the coffee shop. Clara pouted, but Hugh let out a low, sharp laugh. Smooth, Finn. Scaring them off already, I glared at him. You are Euros trade the one who scared him off. Why are you even here? He leaned forward, resting his elbows on the table. I heard from your mom that you were holding auditions for the role of your boyfriend. Thought Euros trade D come watch the spectacle. My jaw dropped. She told you, Clara shrugged, taking a delicate sip of her latte. I may have mentioned it. Hugh is a friend of the family, isn't Euros trade he? Enemy, I corrected, my voice tight with frustration. And you are Euros trade remaking everything 1,000 times worse. Hugh Euros trade's eyes glinted with amusement, as if he were thoroughly enjoying my misery. Enemy, huh? Is that why you are Euros trade blushing right now? I wasn't Euros trade blushing. Except I was, and I hated myself for it. I stood up abruptly, grabbing my jacket. Euros trade am done. Mom, you are Euros trade certifiably insane. Hugh, get lost. I stormed out of the coffee shop, the bell jingling mockingly behind me. Outside, I paced back and forth on the sidewalk, trying to cool the fire of my anger. Why did Hugh keep showing up, acting like he gave a damn? And why did my stupid, traitorous heart insist on racing every time he was near? I was halfway down the block when I heard footsteps hurrying to catch up with me. Finn, hold up, Hugh said, his voice softer now. He fell into step beside me, his hands shoved into his pockets. What is your deal? You are Euros trade V been furious with me for months. My deal? I spun around to face him. My deal is that you called me a loser, Hugh. You abandoned me for your cool friends, and now you are Euros trade reactively mocking me while my mother tries to auction me off to the highest bidder. Farter Euros trade s my deal. He stepped closer, his expression unreadable. I didn't Euros trade T abandon you. You stopped talking to me. And I never, ever called you a loser. I said you were too smart for your own good. There I Euros trade s a big difference. I scoffed, crossing my arms. Sure, twist the narrative however you want. I know what I heard. He sighed, rubbing the back of his neck in a gesture of frustration. You are Euros trade wrong, Finn. But fine, believe whatever you want to believe. Just a Euros dona Euros trade T let your mom marry you off to some Jimbro, okay? And why do you care? I challenged, my voice quieter now. He hesitated, his eyes searching mine. For a brief, heart-stopping second, I thought he was going to say something real, something meaningful. Then he shrugged, the moment gone. I just don't Euros trade T want to see you make a dumb choice. I rolled my eyes and turned away. Thanks for the unsolicited advice, jerk. He didn't Euros trade T follow me this time, but I could feel his gaze on my back as I walked away. My phone buzzed. It was another text from Clara. Next round of interviews is tomorrow. Don't Euros trade T you dare bail on me. I groaned, shoving the phone back into my pocket. Fewer Euros trade s words gnawed at me. You stopped talking to me. Had I really? I shook the thought away, refusing to let him get inside my head. But as I made my way home, a small, persistent voice wondered if I had misread him and our entire history all along. No way. He was just messing with me. Wasn't Euros trade he? I was hoping for a sanctuary, a moment of peace when I got back to the dorm. But fate, it seemed, had a cruel sense of humor. I pushed open the door to our room, and there he was, Hugh, sprawled on his bunk, casually tossing a soccer ball into the air and catching it, like a scene from a cheesy sports movie. Our room was a cramped, chaotic box, a testament to mismatched posters and overflowing laundry baskets. But his presence made it feel infinitely smaller, as if he were sucking all the oxygen out of the air. I froze in the doorway, mentally kicking myself for not checking his practice schedule. Being assigned as his roommate was a particularly sadistic twist of fate by the university housing department, and our Euros trade D been successfully avoiding him since the coffee shop disaster. You are Euros trade back early, Hugh said without looking up, the ball making a soft, rhythmic thud against his palms. Figured you are Euros trade D still beat out with your Momer Euros trade S jock parade. I dropped my bag on the floor, ignoring the jab. I had to escape before she challenged one of them to an arm wrestling match on my behalf. He snorted, catching the ball and sitting up. Smart move. Those guys looked like they could snap you in two. I glared at him, climbing onto my own bunk. Thanks for the vote of confidence. Why aren't a Euros trade TU at practice? Took the day off, he said, tossing the ball aside. Figured it was time we actually talked. There at Euros trade s nothing to talk about, I muttered, pulling out my phone and pretending to scroll through something important. My heart was pounding a frantic rhythm against my ribs, and I hated it. Why did he keep pushing this? He swung his legs over the side of his bunk, turning to face me directly. €30 trade S bowl, and you know it. Your Euros trade V been acting weird since the middle of high school. And don't a Euros trade T give me that a circumflex Euros bookwormer Euros trade crap again. What are Euros trade S the real problem, Finn? I kept my eyes glued to my phone screen. The problem is that you are Euros trade re incredibly annoying, and you are Euros trade re constantly invading my personal space. Annoying, he laughed, but it was a sharp, humorless sound, not his usual easy chuckle. We used to be inseparable, Finn. Sleepovers, late-night video game marathons, all of it. Then one day, you just Euros ghosted me. So, what are Euros trade S up? I gritted my teeth. His words were hitting uncomfortably close to home. He wasn't a Euros trade T wrong. We had been two halves of a whole until high school, until he Euros trade D been swept up into the orbit of the soccer team. And I Euros what? Had I been jealous? Had I felt abandoned? I shoved the uncomfortable thoughts down. You are Euros trade rewriting history. You are Euros trade the one who ditched me for your cool friends. You called me a nerd. He groaned, hopping off his bunk to pace the small strip of floor between our beds. I didn't Euros trade T ditch you, and I never called you a nerd to be malicious. I was messing around just like I always did. You took it way too personally. Easy for you to say, I snapped, sitting up. You when are Euros trade T the one left standing there feeling like a complete idiot, while your supposed best friend was laughing it up with his new crew. He stopped pacing and turned to face me, his eyes narrowing. Best friend, huh? So you did care. Then why didn't Euros trade T you just say something instead of shutting me out completely? I flinched, caught off guard by his directness. What was I supposed to say? A circumflex Euros hey, Hugh, could you please stop being so popular and come hang out with your loser friend instead? A circumflex Euros trade Euros trade M not pathetic. He took a step closer, towering over my bunk. You are Euros trade re not pathetic. You are Euros trade re just stubborn as hell. And you are Euros trade re still avoiding my question. Why are you so angry at me? My pulse was racing, his intensity making the room feel claustrophobic. I swung my legs over the side of my bunk, meeting him at eye level. Maybe eater Euros trade S because you acted like I didn't Euros trade T matter anymore. Like I was just some boring kid you were Euros trade D outgrown. His jaw tightened and he leaned in, his hands gripping the metal frame of my bunk. That is not what happened. You want to know the truth? I thought you had outgrown me. You stopped showing up to things. You stopped texting back. I figured you were Euros trade D found someone better to hang out with. I just blinked, his words landing like a physical blow. Someone better? Are you serious? You were the one with a legion of adoring fans. I was just a Euros me. He let out a bitter, humorless laugh. Yeah, a circumflex Euros just you. A circumflex Euros trade the guy wore Euros trade S always got his nose buried in a book, the guy who can make me laugh harder than anyone else. You think I didn't Euros trade T missed that? My mouth went dry. Was he playing some kind of twisted game? I searched his face for any sign of his usual smirk, but there was nothing but a raw, vulnerable edge to his expression that completely disowned me. If you missed me, then why didn't Euros trade T you ever say anything? Why didn't Euros trade T you? He countered, his voice dropping to a low, intense murmur. War Euros trade re not the only one who felt left behind, Finn. I swallowed hard, my brain short-circuiting. This couldn't a Euros trade be real. Hugh, the guy who had been the source of my angst for years, was acting like he had actually cared. I slid off the bunk, needing to create some distance, but he was right there, blocking my path. "What are you trying to say?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "Our Euros trade saying," he began, then paused, as if weighing his words. "Maybe we both messed up, but our Euros trade here now, trying to fix it." "So, who's the guy your Euros trade actually into?" "Because eater Euros trade sure as hell not one of those meatheads your mom keeps parading in front of you." My heart stopped beating. "What? You heard me," he said, his eyes locked on mine. "Your Euros trade not dodging this one. Who is it that Euros trade got you so worked up?" I let out a nervous, shaky laugh, backing away until I hit the wall. "There a Euros trade no guy. Our Euros trade just a Euros figuring things out." He followed me, his voice low and insistent. "Figure it out faster, because our Euros trade not buying that you are Euros trade this angry at me over one stupid joke from high school." I was trapped, both literally and figuratively. His gaze was too intense, like he could see right through the walls I had so carefully constructed. I had spent years hiding how I truly felt. How his laugh, his stupid, effortless confidence, how every single thing about him had managed to get under my skin. And now he was calling me out on it. "You have no idea what you are Euros trade talking about," I muttered, ducking under his arm in a desperate attempt to escape. He caught my wrist, his grip gentle but firm. "Finn, stop running. Just tell me." I yanked my arm free, my face burning with a heat that had nothing to do with the temperature of the room. "There a Euros trade nothing to tell." I shoved past him and grabbed my jacket. "I need some air." I bolted out the door, his voice calling my name behind me, but I didn't Euros trade stop. My head was a chaotic mess, his words playing on a relentless loop. "I thought you outgrew me." Was it possible that I had misread everything? That I was the one who had pushed him away? I stumbled out into the courtyard, the cool evening air doing nothing to calm the storm inside me. My phone buzzed. It was Clara, probably with a new lineup of potential suitors. I ignored it. All I could think about was Hugh Euros trade's face, his voice, and the terrifying, sinking feeling that I had been wrong about him, and about us, for a very, very long time. I burst into the house, still reeling from the emotional collision with Hugh in our dorm room, and found Clara sitting at the kitchen table, calmly sipping her coffee. I dropped into the chair opposite her, rubbing my temples. "Mom, I need you to tell me everything you know about Hugh." She set her mug down, her eyes glinting with a familiar mischief. "Oh, trouble in paradise already." I scowled. "Eater Euros trade not paradise. Eater Euros trade a category 5 hurricane. He Euros trade driving me insane. Did you know he came out in high school? Why did you never tell me?" Her smirk widened. "I figured you two would get around to it once you stopped bickering like 5-year-olds. His mother told me years ago. That sweet boy, Hugh, he even came over and cried to me about you once." "Cried?" I leaned forward, my stomach doing a nervous flip. What did he say?" Clara leaned back in her chair, savoring the moment like a fine wine. "It was the summer after graduation. He showed up on our doorstep looking all sad and mopey. Said he felt like he Euros trade D messed things up with you. He said that if you turned out to be gay, he was worried it was his fault for Euros, and I quater Euros a circumflex Euros making you feel too much. A circumflex Euros trade his words, not mine. My jaw hit the table. He said what? She shrugged, taking another sip of her coffee. Told me he Euros trade D take all the blame if you ever got any grief for it. Said he wanted to protect you. Honestly, Finn, it was painfully adorable. I gripped the edge of the table, my head spinning. You knew all this time. You knew I was gay and you thought he had somehow Euros caused it. It was the most insane thing I had ever heard. Or was it? My crush on him had started so long ago. Those late nights spent playing video games, his arm slung casually over my shoulder. Had he known even then? Why didn't Euros trade T you tell me? I demanded. You when are Euros trade T ready to hear it? She said simply. You were too busy dedicating all your energy to hating him. Besides, I thought you were Euros trade D figure it out on your own when he kept conveniently showing up everywhere you were, looking at you like a lost puppy. A lost puppy? I scoffed, but a tightness was forming in my chest. He Euros trade S been nothing but a jerk to me, Mom. Calling me names, acting like he Euros trade S better than everyone. Clara raised a perfectly sculpted eyebrow. Or maybe, just maybe, he Euros trade S been desperately trying to get your attention for years. Did that ever occur to you? I opened my mouth to argue, but then snapped it shut. Her words hit me with the force of a freight train. Was it possible that Hugh had been a Euros flirting with me this whole time? No, no way. I would have noticed. Wouldn't a Euros trade T.I.? I shot up from my chair and began to pace. I need to talk to him right now. Thought a Euros trade S my boy, Clara said, tossing me her car keys. He Euros trade S at the university basketball court. Go. I didn't Euros trade T even question how she knew his exact location. I grabbed the keys and bolted out the door. The drive to campus was a blur, my heart hammering against my ribs. The court was alive with the sound of sneakers squeaking and players shouting, but Hugh was impossible to miss. He was a force of nature, Euros tall, fluid, and effortlessly graceful as he dunked the ball. A small crowd of onlookers cheered, and I hung back at the edge, just watching him move. He was completely focused, sweat gleaming on his arms, and I hated the way it made my pulse quicken. Then he saw me. Our eyes locked across the court, and the basketball slipped from his grasp, bouncing unheeded away. He jogged over, ignoring the protests of his teammates. Finn, water Euros trade S up. I swallowed, my throat suddenly dry. We need to talk. Now, he frowned, wiping his face on the hem of his shirt. Okay, Uter Euros no buts, I cut in, my voice sharper than I intended. Did you tell my mom you made me gay? His eyes widened and he froze. She told you that? Yeah, I said, stepping closer. What the hell, Hugh? What did you mean by that? He glanced around at the curious onlookers, then grabbed my arm, pulling me toward the empty bleachers. Not here. Too many years. We sat on the cold metal bench. He was quiet for a long moment, then he let out a heavy sigh. I didn't Euros trade T mean it like that. Ita Euros trade S just a Euros back in high school. I started to notice you looking at me Euros differently. And I was already figuring out that I liked guys. I thought maybe I was a Euros I don't a Euros trade T nor Euros pushing you into something. I just stared at him, my brain feeling like it was short-circuiting. You thought you turned me gay? That is single-handedly the dumbest thing I have ever heard in my entire life. He actually laughed, though it was a nervous sound. Yeah, well, I was a stupid kid. The truth is I liked you, Finn. I liked you a lot. I still do. I just had no idea how to say it without completely screwing everything up. My heart stopped. War Euros liked me? He nodded, looking away toward the cot. Why do you think I kept bugging you all the time? I wasn't trying to be a jerk. I was trying to find a way to stay close to you. I was speechless. My mind was racing, replaying every single argument, every single sarcastic jab. Was it possible that all of it, all this time, was just him trying to reach me? I stood up, a sudden, overwhelming need to move. Euros, I have to go. Finn, wait. He was on his feet, but I was already walking away, my head a chaotic mess. I broke into a run, dodging students as I crossed the main quad. I could hear his voice calling my name, the sound of his sneakers pounding on the pavement behind me. Damn him, he was fast. He caught up to me by the main fountain, grabbing my wrist. Stop running, you idiot! I yanked my arm free, panting. Why? So you can mess with my head some more. Euros trade am not messing with you. He snapped, stepping closer. His breaths were coming in heavy pants, his eyes blazing with an intensity Euros trade D never seen before. Euros trade am trying to tell you that I have been into you for years. Why is that so hard for you to believe? Because you are Euros trade Ryu, I shouted, gesturing wildly at him. You are Euros trade Re, the guy everyone wants to be with. Euros trade am just me, the bookworm you used to make fun of. He grabbed my shoulders, his grip firm. I never mocked you. I teased you because I liked you. Because you are Euros trade Re smart, and you are Euros trade Re funny, and you are Euros trade Re Euros you. I thought I was the one you hated. I stared at him, his words finally sinking in, my chest aching with a strange mixture of relief and terror. I didn't Euros trade T hate you, I mumbled. I just Euros I thought you didn't Euros trade T want me around anymore. He let his hands fall from my shoulders. I have always wanted you around. I still do. My breath hitched in my throat. Was this really happening? Before I could respond, he took a step back, giving me some space. Euros trade am not going to push you, Finn. Just Euros think about it. Okay? I nodded, too stunned to speak. He jogged back toward the cot, leaving me standing by the fountain, my head spinning. He liked me. He had liked me for years. I wanted to scream, to laugh, maybe even to cry. Instead, I pulled out my phone and opened the last text from Clara. Told you he Euros trade S a keeper. I groaned, but a small smile tugged at the corners of my lips. Maybe, just maybe, she was right. He was standing on my front porch, clutching a bouquet of red roses like a nervous teenager about to ask someone to prom. I was frozen in the doorway, my brain still trying to process his basketball-caught confession. He had liked me for years, and now he was here, wearing a crisp white shirt, looking genuinely nervous for the first time I could ever remember. Finn, he said, holding the flowers out to me. Can we start over? I took the bouquet, my hands shaking slightly. You didn't Euros trade T have to bribe me with flowers, you know. He grinned, but it was a softer, more tentative version of his usual cocky smirk. I wanted to do this the right way. You deserve that. My face grew warm, and I stepped aside. You are Euros trade D better come in before my mom spots you and starts planning the wedding. Too late. Clara was already lurking in the hallway, her eyes gleaming as if she Eurostrayed just won a high-stakes bet. Hugh, oh, those are absolutely gorgeous. Finn, put them in some water before they wilt. I rolled my eyes and headed for the kitchen. Yes, Mom, I am familiar with the basic needs of plant life. Hugh followed me, leaning against the counter as I rummaged through a cabinet for a vase. So, he said, his voice low. Have you been thinking about what I said? I fumbled with a vase, nearly dropping it on the floor. Maybe. Eater Eurostrayed s a lot to take in. He nodded, his eyes tracking my movements as I arranged the roses. Fair enough. I kind of dropped a bomb on you, but I meant every word of it. I risked a glance at him, my stomach twisting into knots. Why now? Why didn't Eurostrayed you say something back then? He rubbed the back of his neck, a sheepish look on his face. I was scared. I thought you were Eurostrayed laugh at me, or worse, just shut me out completely. Then you started acting like you hated me, and I figured I'd Eurostrayed blown my chance. I didn't Eurostrayed hate you, I mumbled, focusing my attention on the flowers to avoid his intense gaze. I thought you hated me. That day by the Locus Euros I heard you tell your friends you were done with me. You said I was too boring. His eyes widened in disbelief. What? Finn, that is not what I said. I was venting because you were Eurostrayed stopped hanging out with me. I told them I didn't Eurostrayed know how to fix things between us, that I felt like you were too good for me. I froze, the glass vase clinking against the counter. Too good for you? Hugh, you were the one with a fan club. He stepped closer, his voice earnest. And you were the one I couldn't Eurostrayed stop thinking about. I was an idiot, okay? I should have just been honest with you. My throat tightened, and I forced myself to finally meet his gaze. So Euros, what now? He smiled, a slow, hopeful smile. Now we go on a date. A real one. No meddling moms, no years of misunderstandings. Just us. I hesitated, my heart pounding a frantic rhythm. This was Hugh, my rival, my nemesis, my long-held secret crush. My Euros, maybe something more. Okay, I said, the word coming out in a rush of air. One date. Don't Eurostrayed screw it up. He let out a laugh of pure relief. Deal. Clara chose that exact moment to burst into the kitchen, clapping her hands together like she was at a Broadway show. Perfect. I knew it. Tom, get in here. My dad shuffled in, a wary expression on his face. What are Eurostrayed going on now? Clara beamed. Fair Eurostrayed going on a date. Our little boy is all grown up. Tom blinked, his face a comical mixture of confusion and concern. Hugh, the kid who kicked a soccer ball through our window. That was years ago, sir, Hugh said, raising his hands in a gesture of surrender. Our Eurostrayed a reformed man. Tom squinted at him, then at me. You sure about this, Finn? I nodded, surprising myself with the certainty I felt. Yeah, Dad. Our Eurostrayed sure. Clara practically shoved us toward the door. Go on, you two. Have fun. But no funny business. Our Eurostrayed watching you, Hugh Larson. Hugh gave her a mock salute, a wide grin on his face. Yes, Mar Eurostrayed We ended up at a classic downtown diner, sharing a basket of fries and trading stories like we used to when we were kids. It was easy. It was natural. It was as if the years of tension and misunderstanding had never happened. Afterward, we walked through the park, our hands brushing against each other until he finally laced his fingers with mine. My heart did a little skip, but it felt right. So I said, breaking the comfortable silence. That whole thing in the locker room, Euros, you really didn't Euros trade T mean any of it. He stopped walking and turned to face me. Finn, I swear, I was angry because I missed you. I thought you were done with me. I would never, ever call you boring. You are Euros trade rear Euros, you are Euros trade read everything. My breath caught in my throat. You are Euros trade re such a sap. He laughed, pulling me a little closer. Only for you. We kept walking, and I felt lighter than I had in years. When he dropped me off back at home, Clara was waiting on the couch, pretending to be engrossed in a magazine. Well, she demanded, tossing it aside the second the door closed. How was it? It was good, I said, unable to hide the smile spreading across my face. Really good. She clapped her hands triumphantly. I told you. Our Euros trade am a genius. Tom, pay up. I won the bet, Tom groaned from the kitchen. I never agreed to any bet. Hugh chuckled, squeezing my hand one last time before letting go. I should probably get going. I think your dad is giving me the death stare. I laughed, walking him to the door. Thanks for tonight. And Euros for being honest. He leaned in, his lips brushing against my cheek. Anytime, Finn. I closed the door, my face burning. Clara was grinning like the Cheshire Cat. So, Weena Euros trade s the second date. Mind your own business, I said, but I was smiling, too. She leaned back, looking incredibly smug. I knew you two would figure it out. Oh, and Finn, Hugh came to me years ago. He said he would take any blame if you ever got flack for being gay. He wanted to make sure you were safe. I stared at her, a warmth spreading through my chest. He had done that for me. Yep, she said, popping a cherry into her mouth. He Euros trade as a keeper. 2 years later, we Euros trade re-celebrating our first Christmas together as a real couple. Hugh Euros trade s family and my family are all crammed into our living room. Clara is fussing over a broken ornament, blaming me for sitting on it. Finn, war Euros trade re 19, not 9, she scolds. Our Euros trade M21 now, Mom, I say, rolling my eyes. And Hugh is the one who knocked it over. Hugh gasps, feigning offense. Lies. War Euros trade reframing an innocent man. Tom just chuckles, clinking his glass against Hugh Euros trade s further Euros trade s. Everything is loud and chaotic and absolutely perfect. Later, when the house has quieted down, Hugh pulls me aside. You know, he says, his arm wrapping around my waist. I should really thank your mom. If it wasn't a Euros trade tea for her insane, over-the-top meddling, we might have never sorted this out. I laugh, leaning my head against his shoulder. Don't a Euros trade tea let her hear you say that. Her ego is already big enough to have its own zip code. He smiles, pressing a soft kiss to my temple. Best matchmaker ever. And as I stand there, surrounded by the warmth of the Christmas lights and the man I love, I have to admit, he Euros trade s not wrong. So, what do you think? Was Clara Euros trade s chaotic matchmaking a stroke of genius, or did she just get incredibly lucky that her Sona Euros trade s mortal enemy was also his secret soulmate? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you loved Finn and Hugh Euros trade s journey from rivals to romance, don't Euros trade t forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories.